Sometimes too much of a good thing actually turns out to be a bad thing. Can you convert too much money to a Roth IRA? I'm going to break it down for you today. So first off, here's the issue we've got staring us in the face. We've got ever increasing deficits. We've got historically low tax rates. Even though it might not feel like it, it's math. And income tax brackets right now are historically low. Here's a look at what they've been like. You can see that right now we're actually on the lower end. That's the first issue. The second issue is that if you're near retirement, chances are good you've saved a whole ton of money in to-be-taxed vehicles like traditional IRAs and 401ks, and that's not your fault. That's what everybody's been advising for a long time. Get the deduction now. You'll be in a lower tax bracket when you retire. When you combine those two things together, historically low tax rates and large to-be-taxed balances, along with the deficits we're running, it can be a recipe for trouble. That's pushed a lot of people into looking at Roth conversions. Now, I talk to people all the time who have done the right things for years. They've saved a ton of money for retirement, and now they're looking at huge future required minimum distributions, giant tax bills, and they're trying to figure their way out of it. Heck, I talk about it all the time on the channel. Buy out your silent partner, get the tax man out of your retirement, and generally speaking, I think that it's very good advice, but generally does not mean in every single situation. Let me show you a couple of examples today. So I'm going to outline two scenarios right now for you that I see all the time and how we should be looking at them. First up, let's presume that you're one of those folks I was talking about just a minute ago. You were super focused on saving for retirement. You loaded up your 401k. You were maxing that thing out for years, and now you're entering retirement with a lot of money in to-be-taxed accounts. Here's the scenario. Now here we have Mike and Sally. They're both retiring. They're 64 and 63. They plan to take Social Security, each of them, when they turn 67. And when they do, they'll have around $4,400 a month in Social Security. Now, retiring and not yet taking Social Security gives them some unique potential planning opportunities because the income for those first few years in retirement is a blank slate. That can often be a gold mine for planning, but not always. So Mike and Sally don't live a particularly expensive lifestyle. They'll only need about $6,000 a month in today's dollars, adjusted up for inflation over time. Now, because they were super savers and they put away a ton of money, they're in great shape. They've got $2.4 million put away in total, $200,000 in a brokerage account, and then $2.2 million between them in their to-be-taxed retirement accounts. Now, the concern in this case, very modest lifestyle and pretty substantial retirement portfolio. The concern is not, will I run out of money? The question is, how can I be most efficient with this money? Now, Mike and Sally watch a lot of YouTube videos and they know all about Roth conversions, so they plan to do a little Roth converting. They're going to live out of their post-tax savings, that brokerage account, in the early years while they try to convert a bunch of money, as much as possible, before the RMDs are going to start, because they've heard all about RMD creep. They know what that means, and they see those future climbing tax bills. Now, here's how it looks. They decide that they're going to convert $1 million of that $2.2 million to be taxed money, and they're going to do it over a 9-year window. Now, in their case, because they've got plenty of assets relative to the amount of income that they need, for the most part, they're not even going to need most of their required minimum distributions for income purposes if they do no conversions at all. That's where this $541,474 of excess net income that's showing up, that's what that means. That's money that they're expected to take out over their lifetime from a tax standpoint, but they won't actually need to consume it from an income or living standpoint. Now look at their estimated lifetime tax bill, $302,727 in federal taxes over their 25-year retirement. That's if they do nothing, no conversions. Now remember, they've decided to convert $1 million, so let's see what happens. If we do the $1 million in conversions, their estimated lifetime tax goes up to $420,267. They've created extra taxes for themselves of over $100,000 by doing the Roth conversions. Now, the Roths create some tax-preferred legacy. They're going to pass on some money tax-free to the beneficiaries. And I took a big example here with such a large conversion amount. But this is proof positive that you can absolutely go overboard with Roth conversions. Now, if we look at it and say, well, what if they take a smaller bite? Maybe we can get closer to a scenario that makes more sense. Here's an example. Let's look at lowering the conversion amount from $1 million to $300,000 over the same 9 years. And so here we've added just a negligible amount of tax. They're going to likely pay around $7,000 more tax over the entire 25 years, but we've created a large pool of tax-free money in this case to pass to the kids, which more than makes up for the taxes. So maybe a small Roth conversion makes sense, but certainly not the level that they were thinking, even though on paper it seems like that would be beneficial to them. Now, that's a prime example where you would think that someone retiring relatively early, not yet taking Social Security, would really want to load up on the Roth conversions. And in this case, we can see that that's just not the case. It actually hurts them to convert too much money to Roth. Now, still beneficial to do a conversion, but a much smaller amount than what they were planning for. Now, let's look at another very common scenario. So here we've got Jim and Sally. They're both 66. They both just retired. They've got a portfolio total of $1 million. So it's broken down with $200,000 in after-tax brokerage investments and $800,000 in to-be-taxed money. $1 million total. Now they've got a little over $4,000 a month between them from Social Security, and they'd like $6,000 a month adjusted up for inflation each year in retirement to live on. Overall, they're in pretty solid shape here, so they're not going to need a ton of money from the investment portfolio as long as they're both around to cash those Social Security checks. And so they decide that they want to look at converting some of this money into Roth. Now, as you can see from the base scenario on the screen here, if they satisfy their income and they live the life that they would like, that leads to a total tax bill of $134,661 over their lifetime, with leftover assets of $463,000 someday far off in the future when they pass away. By the way, this is assuming a flat 7% return on everything, just so we can keep a good eye on taxes and not worry about where we're getting returns. Now, if we looked at converting $250,000 of Jim's IRA over a nice long time frame, $250,000 over 8 years, not huge conversion amounts, let's see what happens. The tax bill actually goes up to $163,000, almost $164,000. That's a $30,000 lifetime increase, or in this case, 22% more in total taxes. And the ending balance actually stays the same. Now, that's the second thing that you want to look at most of the time in a Roth conversion, because even if it only sort of helps you out during your lifetime, passing that money on far more efficiently can still be beneficial. Now, this tends to happen when you don't need to draw heavily from your investment accounts, but in this case, it wasn't actually good for Jim and Sally. They paid more in taxes, and it didn't actually improve the financial legacy either. Here's the moral of the story. This is clearly not one size fits all. This goes into the importance of working with an advisor who emphasizes tax planning. This is something that should be created and then reviewed each year with your financial advisor. It's not something you do once and put in a drawer. But hopefully, from watching the video today, it brought to light that Roth conversions, while they're a great tool, are not the right tool for every scenario. While you're brushing up on your retirement planning on YouTube, check this one out right here. I'll see you on the other side.